Hey everyone, it's Joanne again. I actually just wanted to go over my top 20 must-haves and favorites. I was actually tagged to share with you all of the items. I made a list here so I won't get off topic, and I was kind of organized, and you can see what I'm talking about and the brands here. Just a note for me. Okay, so the first thing is a must-have. It's a craft mat. I have a We Are Memory Keepers magnetic cutting mat, which is pretty cool because you can put in place with magnets your project that you're working on, and it also has attachments that go with it that are pretty cool and come in handy. I also have the Tim Holtz craft mat that you use with distressing or watercoloring and things like that, so I love that one because it's easy to clean. I feel like that is a must-have to protect the stuff around it. The second thing is a good paper trimmer. I've been through quite a bit. I actually recently obtained this Fiskars cutting mat. I have to say this is probably one of my favorite so far. It has a titanium blade and it has a longer surface here, and it even tells you, like, for cards, the measurements. I feel it's a little bit more accurate, and I'll go into a better review in that because I have some people asking me about whether I like this or not. I do, and I will explain to you that later. It was on sale at Michael's. The next thing is a scoreboard. I actually think this is a favorite, more than a must-have, because I guess you don't really need it, but it's very, very useful when you're doing cards or anything that needs to have like a really good crisp line. This one has a storage unit up here, so you can put your bone folder, and it has the different measurements of the cards right above it, so it's pretty useful. I feel it's just a favorite. The next thing is embossing machine and folders. I have a Sizzix Big Kick, and it's useful when it comes to cards or anything with embossing, and I also put in folders. The folders that I use are various ones, just whatever is on sale. There's Cuttlebug and Sizzix. There's also spellbinders, but I don't have the embossabilities yet. But I do use the embossing quite a bit for projects. The next one is adhesives. Now this is like a huge list. This is definitely a must-have. You have to have good adhesive when you have projects. You don't want your stuff falling apart, and you want the ability to use it on different surfaces. So I do have different adhesives that I like using. Red tape, glue dots, glossy accents, this quick dry adhesive. This is pretty messy, I must admit, so you want to have a wet paper towel around to wipe your hands. Glossy accents is really cool. It has multiple uses, and it's quite a big bottle. Pop dots, everyone needs those to give your work dimension. This is red tape, this is Recollections. I haven't really used it too much. I do feel that it's really strong, but the newest addition to my adhesives, score tape. Love this stuff. Super easy to work with. It's lightweight. It adheres really well. It's very versatile. It comes in different sizes. 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch. I actually got this from Lynn in our card swap, and I was pretty stoked when I saw it. I also use my ATG gun. I feel with that the refills are very expensive. I do use it a lot, so I try to use many different adhesives for different things and not just one, because the refills are pretty expensive, and when you spread it out, it lasts longer. So to use the right adhesive with the right project. The next one is scissors. You definitely have to have a good pair of scissors. I did go searching for a good pair of scissors. I don't have the cutting beads yet, but I did pick up these titanium Fiskars scissors. It came as a set. And also these Tim Holtz. This is for different types of materials that you want to cut through. So I definitely say have a good pair of scissors around. You don't want to have to deal with fussy cutting with really crappy scissors. The next is a tiny attachers. It's a favorite of mine. It works. It's basically a little stapler. It has tiny staples. Pretty easy to refill. You can use it on different projects as well, just to staple things together if you wanted to. Ribbon, things like that. Definitely a favorite not a must-have, but definitely a favorite. The next thing on my list is tweezers. You have to have a good set of tweezers, especially if you're working with bling or anything that needs to be held tight. These are my favorite so far. They're from Making Memories. The cool thing about these is when you push down, it opens. You let go, it has some tension to it, so it actually will hold in place on its own. And I feel like a good set of tweezers when you're crafting is pretty essential. And I stopped, I guess, making notes, but that is a must-have. Even if they're just like cheap tweezers, they're good to have. Craft knife. Now, I feel that if you want to do some precision cutting and you don't have a good pair of scissors, or it's just in an area where it's inside a project and you can't get to, a good craft knife is good to have. I recently acquired this cutting bee. Pretty cool. It has refills and it's pretty safe to have around with kids or anything like that, because you push down and the blade goes away. And it has a cute little set of refills, which I didn't show. These just all came. This came with the cutting board that I just, the trimmer that I just got, Fiskars. This is also Fiskars. This is my first one. This one is, the lid had a tape shut because it kept falling off, and this thing is super sharp. So when you go and try to grab it and the lid's not on it, ouch. And then this came with a set from Making Memories. I like just to have multiple ones. Again, if they get dull, you can have another one. If you don't use the same one all the time, you have more to choose from and less things to buy, so having different ones helps out. And I mean, if I get a new one, I don't want to throw the other one away unless it's broken or I have someone to give it to, so I just keep them, which works out because, again, the blades don't get dull as quick. So the next thing is dies. Or no, the next thing is a die cutting machine. I have a Cricut, and I also have a Big Kick Sizzix. Big Kick is probably one of the original die cutting machines, and it's also an embossing machine. It is really heavy, but it's old school. You crank it. They have ones that are electronic, but I'd rather not spend that much money with it. I mean, if I need to crank it, then I will, if it saves me money. I don't want to pick it up because it's too heavy. But I also, on my list here, have dies. Now, dies come in different shapes, sizes, brands. The ones that I have are Spellbinders. I only have 2 of them so far. And then I have like the fatter dies that come from Sizzix. The only problem with these is these ones it just takes up a lot of space to store. These are pretty thin. I like the wafer thin dies. But the chunky ones are pretty cool because you can put multiple paper in them. The next one is a spatula, and it's miscellaneous tools. These are my miscellaneous tools. Alright, so as you can see, these came in a set. This came with a Cricut set, and this is a Making Memory set that I have. This is pretty cool because it has a double end to it, so you can do a paper puncher, piercer, or a little stylus right there. Comes in handy, and it's one less tool that you need because it comes like a 2-in-1. Spatula, you need it for your die cutting machines to take them off, especially my Cricut because it's sticky. This helps me punch out things that didn't get punched. I never knew this tool, which I've never seen before. It looks like a dental tool. Would come in handy. I use this all the time to punch out things that are small. And bone folders. I didn't know what these were before, and then I started making things, and they do come in handy. I like this one, and I like this one. I also have a Martha Stewart one. But the different shapes, this has a wider mouth on it, so I like it. And the next one is watercoloring brushes. I got these. These are Tim Holtz. Totally love these. They're super expensive though. Super expensive. Refillable. You can use them for different things. You can fill them with inks. You can fill them with, mister stuff, spray. Pearl. stuff, and there's a wide one and a thin one. I find these pretty useful, but they're pretty expensive, so there's probably other brands out there that you can use, but those are the ones I have. The next is spray bottles. I have mini misters. These are super useful. They're tiny, they're easy to store. I like them because you can also fill these with Tim Holtz stains. You can fill them with pearl sprays. You can just put water in them, which I use for whatever projects I'm using when it comes to Tim Holtz distress stuff. And they're affordable. I wouldn't say that is a must-have because you can get any kind of spray bottle, but it definitely is a favorite of mine. Markers and gel pens. Definitely have a lot of different kinds. This is the distress markers from Tim Holtz. And then I have the gel pens, the jelly roll pens. You know, funny thing about these things last forever. I've had these since I was probably 16. I'm 27 now. Oh, 28, sorry. So more than 10 years, and I just went through them again. All of them work. I do have some glazed ones. Those didn't last. But these jelly roll pens last forever. So if you want to invest in these, I would say do it. It's really good for when you're doing card making, if you want to do fake stitching, coloring, details. I could vouch for these because I've had these for more than 10 years and they have not dried up. Sharpies, you can get those anywhere. This is my favorite white gel pen. It's Pentel, it's a sunburst one. I got this from Michael's. So far it's my favorite. The next thing on my list is rulers. Now this is a must-have. You have to have a good ruler. If you don't, your projects, they just won't be, straight. So I have this Tim Holtz rulers, which I fell in love with. It has a metal edging. It has these holes so you can do paper piercing with them or just make dots on your project. You can measure this way. You can measure this way. And it has a center ruling too. The only thing I don't like about it is I feel when it comes to a regular ruler, it's just not as accurate of measuring, but I do like eyeball it, and I wish it had like accurate hashtags on there like a regular ruler, but I'm getting used to it. So I like this, and I have my Zero Hero centering ruler. Totally love this one. You can do dots for sewing. You can do journaling lines, centering things. There's a line right here, which I appreciate because it makes things easier to line up. Definitely cheap. Found it at Michael's, and it's really useful to have. The next thing is embossing powders. Now I'm starting to just collect these. Right now I've been just getting recollections using coupons and stuff, and then I have a couple of Tim Holtz that I found in the clearance section. Definitely good embossing powders really matter. If you get the cheap stuff, they don't cover really well with the heat gun. So definitely invest. And they're not a must-have, but they definitely make projects pop. So I would say try it. If you don't like it, don't use it. You do need a heat gun with it though, so it gets kind of expensive with these things. So you have to really think long term if you want to keep buying the stuff to do that. The next thing on my list is punches. I do like my corner punch. It has 1/4 and 1/2 on it. And this is just one Martha Stewart punch, but I like all brands of punches. With these, I definitely say you pay for what you get. Now this was like, I don't know, $19. I don't know, I think I got on sale for like $15 or something like that. They're pretty expensive, especially Martha Stewart punches, but really I feel that the clarity of the punch really matters in projects. You don't want some ratty punch. So the cheaper ones don't punch very well, especially with thicker paper, but the EK Success, the Fiskars, the Martha Stewart punches, they're really good punches. So that is I would say it's a favorite of mine. You don't have to have punches, but if you don't have a Cricut or a die cutting machine, punches are pretty good. They can be somewhat affordable if you find them on sale, but definitely look out for those when they go on sale because they're totally worth having in your collection, and it makes things easier because these are it's ergonomic. You really don't have to put too much pressure in to get a good cut, and it really matters to have as ergonomic things as you can, because once your hands are gone, you can't really craft anymore. So the next thing on my list are inks. There's a variety of inks that I like. Versamark is for embossing and watermarking. Memento ink is good for when you're coloring, like with Copic markers or any kind of coloring where you don't want the lines to bleed through. Colorbox is a good opaque pigment. It takes longer to dry, but it's totally worth having to give you a different effect. And I also like the Tim Holtz Distress ink pads. They can also get pretty pricey because, I mean, you want a lot of them. And you can get re-inkers though, so I mean, it's definitely an investment and they will last forever. But it takes a while to get used to them. And then with the Distress inks, you have to buy like a distress tools. So it can get pricier depending on the colors that you have and how much you get. So again, you know, I'm not trying to be an enabler, but you really get what you pay for when it comes to ink. Good ink is really important to have. I do like using the dollar inks from Studio G in the dollar section, but that's usually for inking, and it doesn't really give you a clear, crisp image, so definitely you pay for what you get, so when it comes to inks. And then Distress tools, which I showed you that came with that. And then other inks that I wanted to show you though real quick. I have these. These are all Tim Holtz stuff. Perfect Pearls Mist. These are ink sprays from Dilutions. Love these. The colors that they come with are fabulous. And then the Distress stains, which you can use with your misters. You can use to cover a large surface. And then with adhesives, which I forgot to mention, stickles, of course. I have Recollection stickles. And there's also Studio G stickles, which I'm not going to try to be a what's it called, brand loyal type person. I really want to make sure that I widen my, you know, collection, and I mean, Recollections and the other stuff is pretty cheap and affordable. So, look out for sales, obviously, and stuff. Well, anyways, as you can see, my note says I'm obsessed with Tim Holtz. I have a lot of Tim Holtz stuff. I think I just like his stuff because it's well made, and it could be pretty expensive though. That's the only downside. But he has a variety of stuff that kind of covers all of the crafting world. Well, anyways, this is a very long video, and I just wanted to show you my top 20 things for 2012. Thanks for watching, and hope to craft with you guys later.